centrality of like ecstasy in today's youth culture.
Ecstasy, or MDMA, was first synthesized by a German pharmaceutical company in 1914. It was briefly used for therapeutic reasons in the United States in the 70s, but its illegal use, mainly by students, led to its ban there in 1985. Britain banned ecstasy in 1977. How does ecstasy work? The drug causes the release of a neurotransmitter called serotonin. This profoundly affects mood, enhancing all one sees, feels, hears and touches. But it also affects the body's temperature control system. The British rave scene is unique for its extraordinary dancing. People dance for hours. Some, though not all, take drugs to sustain this immense release of energy. Sometimes, however, the dancing can cause serious medical problems. It's the physical exertion of the dancing that poses the greatest short-term medical risks. The symptoms can include exhaustion, dehydration, blood clotting irregularities, kidney and liver damage, and heart problems. Although serious medical emergencies are rare, they have, in many cases, proved fatal.
The teenagers, and they usually are teenagers that come to us, vary. A lot of them might have a racing pulse, they'll be sweating, confused, and some of those people actually get better on quite straightforward supportive treatment and are able to be discharged. However, we also see some patients who have this strange condition known as hyperpyrexia, where the core temperature of the body rises uncontrollably, and we had a death from ecstasy here just a short while ago. The patient who died was unconscious. He had a core temperature of 42 degrees C, and that's very significantly high. His core temperature continued to rise despite cooling, despite drugs, and he had a very serious cardiac dysrhythmia. I say the heart rhythm was disturbed, and disturbed to such an extent that it was uncorrectable. And he died on our intensive care unit several days after admission, in spite of intensive therapy.
More than 25 young people are believed to have died so far as a direct result of ecstasy. Among them was a young man called David Brown from the village of Countersthorpe in Leicestershire.
He was a normal 22-year-old person. He lived at home with us. He was a good family member, a normal, healthy person as far as I was aware. It came as a very great shock when we found that he was involved in taking drugs. It's difficult for the parents to be able to detect if the children are actually involved. I think it's only the youngsters themselves that know if they're taking drugs or if they're not. And I think for their own sakes, I would say to any of them that are taking drugs, don't do it, because it's been proved in this instance, if you get involved in drugs, it can take your life. I did have 3 children. I've now only got 2 daughters. We are slowly getting out of it now, but it's something that will live with us for the rest of our lives.
On Friday, September the 18th, a group of young people from the village of Bayston Hill, Shrewsbury, drove to a rave at Wolverhampton Civic Hall. One of the party was Simon Pitchford. Later that evening, Simon took ill. In these toilets, his friends tried to help him, but his condition steadily deteriorated. Later, an ambulance was called, but Simon Pitchford died before he reached the hospital. He was 18 years old. One of the people who tried to help him that night was his friend, 22-year-old Christopher Formston.
He was just a general good mate, I suppose, no different than anybody else. Very, well, as I say, very, very kind-hearted, never do anything to hurt anyone. I saw him about 3 times during that night. He had a big smile on his face. He shake each other's hand as you do. Tell me you're having a good time and that. And I saw him again about 1:45, 1 o'clock. As I say, he comes stumbling through the door. His eyes rolling and looking pretty scared. I took him to the toilets with another friend. We started dousing cold water on his head, try and cool him down, give him a drink. And that didn't work too well, so we took him outside of the toilets, went upstairs put him by a window which was open, try and get some cold air to him. And his condition just deteriorated from then, I suppose. I come back, I start putting my arm around his ear, and that's when he started shaking. shaking very violently as if someone's putting electric shock through him or something. And I walked down the stairs because I couldn't take it anymore. I was that far away from like going the way he was. Walked down the stairs, turned around, and he was just on the floor with his eyes wide open, motionless. But I mean, what he went through was, it's the most scariest thing I've ever seen him, apart from anyone. Not just because he's my friend, but because of the fear on his face. It was as if he was facing death, just looking death straight in the face. That was what he looked like. You can't tell people what to do. You can't tell them what to do. I mean, something like this, to me, something like this is going to be the only thing that'll ever make people see light and see what these people are really like, see what these drugs are really like. You can't tell people what to do. They're just, you know, something like this has got to happen for them to realise how stupid it is. It really is.
On September the 24th, Christopher Formston was charged with possession of a controlled drug and with unlawfully supplying Simon Pitchford with ecstasy. His case will be heard at the Crown Court at a later date. Four years ago, virtually no ecstasy was entering Britain. However, the amount of the drug seized, according to police, a good measure of overall consumption, has increased more than 1,000 times since then. The drugs are manufactured in illegal laboratories, mainly in Germany and Holland. Manufacturing conditions are very poor, so much of the ecstasy that reaches British streets is cut with poisons and other drugs. Nobody knows what's in the drug they're buying.
The problem with ecstasy is that manufacturing and distribution of the drug are in the hands of, like, criminals. What happens when they make a bad batch? You think they throw it away and start again? No, but what happens is that they sell the bad batch anyway as ecstasy. When people go out and spend their £15 on ecstasy, they really don't have any idea what it is that they're buying. And probably 50% of what's sold as ecstasy is something else. What that might be is anybody's guess.
This programme wanted to test the quality of the ecstasy being sold on the streets. To do this, we went to 4 separate raves. At each one, we were able to buy the drug without difficulty. The tablets each cost between £15 and £20. At a rave at Branston's Club in Hockley, we bought this drug. At the rave at the Aston Villa Sport and Leisure Centre, we bought this. At the Edge Club in Coventry, we bought this. And at a rave at the Coast to Coast Club in Birmingham City Centre, we bought this tablet. We then had the samples analysed by the poisons unit at Guy's Hospital. They contained caffeine, codeine, amphetamine and paracetamol. 2 contained MDA, a potentially dangerous amphetamine relative of ecstasy. None of the 4 samples sold as ecstasy contained any ecstasy at all.
It's just getting really bad nowadays. You don't know what you're buying.
I've heard of people like selling tablets to put dogs down, and they're selling to, like, this geezer took it, yeah? He's screwed up badly.
I don't want to, like, go killing myself on anything like smashed glass or, I don't know, Ajax powder or anything like that.
Every time you're taking it, you're taking a big risk. I mean, you just don't know what you are taking. It could be anything. It could kill you on the spot.
Music and drugs go back a long way. The link between the two perhaps reached its peak with the hippie movement of the 60s. In those days, there were